Is Assetto Corsa EVO really an evolution of the franchise? I know, contrary to the previous Assetto Corsa Competizione, AC EVO is not bound by a strict license and can do totally different things. But here I'm specifically talking about graphics, sound and most importantly, the driving. Today we're putting that to the test by comparing ACC and AC EVO side by side using the same car, same track and same conditions. I've taken the Maserati GT2 around Brands Hatch in both games in perfect dry conditions and heavy rain to see what's changed and what stayed the same. While some things are quite similar, you might be surprised about the difference in wet weather driving. I'll show you later. I also noticed some weird differences in the car setup, but we'll take a close look at that at the end. Before we dive in, it's important to remember that AC EVO is still in early access, so some of what we see today might change before the full release. Both games were recorded on Ultra or Epic graphic settings respectively. Let's start with a full lap in perfect dry conditions. I'll show you the complete side-by-side comparison and we'll break down what we're seeing. But first, let's talk about audio. I'm going to play the engine sounds from both games and I want you to listen carefully. Did you notice a difference? Yeah, me neither. It seems like they used the exact same audio samples for this car in the newer game. Whether that's good or bad is up to you. We also don't know if that's gonna stay or how they go about audio for cars new to the franchise. Looking at the graphics, to me, AC EVO feels more modern and up-to-date graphically. The lighting seems more dynamic and the overall presentation feels cleaner. But I want you to make up your own mind by closely comparing the two games here. Let me know what you like about AC EVO's graphics compared to ACC and vice versa. It really looks quite different, but what's better is very much personal preference, I think. The driving feel is where things get interesting, however. Both games feel very natural to drive in dry conditions, but AC EVO to me already has noticeably better force feedback, especially around the center of the steering wheel. The communication through the wheel feels a bit more refined and detailed. Is it perfect? No, I don't think so. But to me, they build a good foundation which they can improve on over time. I for sure was surprised at how easy it was to switch between the two games and feel right at home, even though the steering feel was distinctly different. I did not notice any difference in braking or accelerating between ACC and AC EVO. By the way, if you're enjoying this comparison, leave a like on the video, that really helps me out more than you think. Thank you. So yes, the driving in dry conditions really is quite similar between ACC and AC EVO. But the real surprise comes when we switch to wet conditions. Here's where the games truly diverge. Let me show you another full lap, this time in heavy rain. You can also listen to both games again, but this time focus more on the ambient sounds, not the car, as that's still the same. Looking at the rain visually, both games differ even more than in the dry. ACC is a lot lighter and clearly shows you that the track is wet. You can see the surface conditions immediately. AC EVO, on the other hand, doesn't communicate the wet track surface quite as clearly, though this might be something the developers are working on. However, AC EVO does capture the atmospheric haze and overall feeling of a rainy day much better, I think. To me, the weather feels more immersive, even if the track surface wetness isn't as visually obvious. But once again, I want you to make up your own mind by watching the footage. What do you like or dislike about how both games display what we could call a typical day in the UK? Jokes aside, not only are the rain visuals quite different between ACC and AC EVO, but the driving was the thing that surprised me the most in making this comparison. In ACC, driving in the rain feels like there's just less grip overall, but it's very consistent and predictable over the whole track. You adapt to the lower grip level and carry on. AC EVO takes a completely different approach. It's genuinely tough to drive in these conditions because the grip varies dramatically depending on where on the track you are. You'll hit sections where you suddenly have no traction, and there are actual puddles where you can experience aquaplaning. Even on the straights you can lose the car completely if you're not careful. I'd encourage you to take a really close look at the steering wheel in this comparison to see how much more I have to work in AC EVO to keep the car on the road. AC EVO's rain driving, at least to me, is much more challenging and unpredictable, which arguably makes it more realistic, but also more difficult to drive. If that's a good or a bad thing is up to you to decide. I just know that I don't really want to race in heavy rain conditions in AC EVO. Slight rain and intermediate conditions could be way more interesting and fun than ever before though. We'll just have to wait and see. Lastly, I promised you a short comparison of the car setups for both games. At first glance, the setup screens look almost identical. It seems like AC EVO just copied ACC's approach. Full with tire choice in the fuel and strategy tab instead of with the rest of the tire adjustments. But when you look closer, there are quite a few differences. Feel free to pause here at any time and rewind to really examine the different setup screens. You'll spot some interesting changes, especially when I flick through the available values. The default setups are quite different between the two games, and some values are drastically changed. Take ride height for example. AC EVO's Maserati seems like it can go much closer to the ground than in ACC. There are also some quirky differences, like the rear wing being able to go into negative values, or strange floating point numbers for bump stop ranges. By the way, for the driving comparison, I used the aggressive preset in ACC and the default setup in AC EVO, both for dry and wet weather. I just made sure to use the same TC and ABS between the two games, with both being cranked up in the wet, so the comparison is somewhat fair. Some of the other setup changes might make a difference though, and I will probably do a deep dive on AC EVO setups in a later video. Overall, AC EVO feels unfinished in the setup department and actually has fewer adjustment options available. Most notably, dampers can't be adjusted at all yet, though this might change as early access progresses. To that point, I will follow early access closely and provide you with all the updates as things evolve. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss those videos. What do you think? Have you tried both games? Or are you still waiting? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like on this video, and if you want to see how AC EVO is approaching a full career mode and whether or not that's worth it right now, you can check out this video. Thanks a lot for watching. I've been HD Racing. See you in the next one.